folks, my name is Johniki.
And this is Madame Bathsheba.
And together we are Catamancy Tarot. So welcome to a grim, cloudy, gloomy, rainy afternoon in Michigan. It's Halloween weekend here, and it's time for another basket video. And this time around, as promised, I thought I would show you all of my goth decks. Now, about a year ago, Wesley at 22 Zines put out the tag about all of my goth decks, and I think a few other people picked it up, and I've enjoyed all of them, and put a little bit of a twist. Some people did like goth and punk. So I am going to do all of my goth and metal decks because that's kind of what I'm into, and I've got some decks that I think are pretty metal in addition to very goth, and so that's what we're gonna do here. So stick around. So first I'll go ahead and I'll show you some decks. We can hang out, and then at the end stick around for a little bit of a goth collective reading. I don't know about you all, but I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling really sad and overwhelmed and grim, and the world is a very scary place right now. And we're in it. We're in it. We're feeling it. We're feeling it. We're feeling a lot of stuff, and so that's what we're gonna do today. Is we're gonna be a little spooky sad girl, and I'm gonna share some spooky goth things that brings me a little joy. So that's what we're gonna do today. So here we go.
Alright, so to start us off, who better than trad goth queen Barbara Walker? Am I alone in thinking that Barbara Walker is like very goth? I always pull this deck out around around this time of year. I find it kind of very scorpionic, very intense, even though you do have some of these nicer moments, but like this, so metal. Like, can't you see that as album art? Like, I would love that. I would love that so much. And I this is one of my all-time favorite decks. And I think it's very well loved, but I think she's a bit on the dark side, and we love her for it. Um, One of the things I was thinking about doing is leaving leaving song recommendations for to go along with particular cards, and here we are, perfect timing. Um, and it might be silly, it might not be your jam, but I'm gonna do it anyways. This is for me. This is me, me picking a goth metal playlist for some of my decks. So it's cool. It's fine. No, don't worry about it. But for this one, so we're going with a metal band called The Sword. And they play like they sound a lot like Black Sabbath, even though they're contemporary. And they've got a song called Three Witches. And here they are. And so, they've got, Maiden Mother Crone vibes. It's great. And that's what this deck is about. So that's her starting us off. And yeah, I love this deck so much. It really is an absolute classic, an absolute legend. Look at her. I should, like, this would be a perfect Halloween costume. Like, get a big brimmed hat with red and a red dress. You could go with someone who's a lion. Partner costume, anyone? I think it would be great. I think it would be great. So there we are, Barbara Walker starting us off right. And we, started with Barbara Walker, might as well continue with Barbara Walker. This is her I Ching of the Goddess Oracle, and these are also pretty metal. Very intense. And I love her artwork. I love it so much. I've been saying for a long time now that I'm gonna mod this deck, and I still want to. I think it would be fun as a square deck. So I'm thinking because the backs rub off and it's a whole big mess. So I was thinking of cutting this part off and then rebacking it in black and then maybe put vinyl stickers for the hexagram that it's supposed to represent on the back. I think that would be a really cool project. Don't you? But look at these guys. This would also be an excellent Halloween costume. Walk around the streets naked with a whip and some like a wolf head and some like wings. Yeah, I think you would strike terror into the hearts of children, which is what we're going for, right? Right? Dancing in the fire with some wolves? Totally. Yes. So, yeah. River of Blood fighting a dragon in the nude? She's not impressed. She's not impressed. Yes, excellent. Excellent. So good. So good. So that's our Barbara Walker. The next deck I'm going to show you is my ultimate goth deck. I think it's the best goth deck out there. Bold claim. I'm going to stick by it. Unfortunately, it is very much out of print, and it's also only a majors only. So I will go ahead and show it to you. It is this number. It's called the Gothic Tarot by Leila Wendell. So this is a deck that was published in first published in 1998. This I have the edition that came out in 2003. It comes in this like jewelry box with the foam, and all of the cards feel like photographic paper, which is kind of fun. But it is beautiful, and it's sort of like collaged cemetery photography, and I don't think you can get any more goth than this. And I think they're also really, really beautiful. And I love it so much. What's your what's your favorite goth anthem? I know what mine is. You know, have you guys heard of, are you guys into goth tunes? I'm into goth tunes. The one I'll recommend for this deck is a band called Lebanon, Hanover. And they've got a song called Kiss Me Until My Lips Fall Off, which is, oof. It's like it's a goth love anthem, and it's a real bop. So I'll leave a link to that below. But you know, there's something about this deck feels also kind of very like romantic to me. You know, someone's hanging out in a cemetery, bringing roses. It's very fun. It's very fun. I'm really lucky to have found this deck, and I think it's the ultimate goth deck. And I wish it was a full deck on like nice cardstock. But alas, all we have are the 22 images, and sadly, I believe the creator is no longer with us, and this is all we get. So this is all we get of this. And there's our High Priestess. So that is the Gothic Tarot. And this box. I mean, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I love it so much. The next deck I'm going to show you is also out of print, but you can still, you know, I see them on eBay all the time. And this is probably my most, since I got it, it's become my most used. I think this is my favorite. You know, this one is, she's for special occasions, right? But this is I've been reaching for this deck all the time, and I think it's my favorite deck with darker imagery. It's the Vertigo Tarot, which was published by Vertigo Comics in the 90s. So the artwork is Dave McKean. There's a foreword by Neil Gaiman, and the book itself is written by our very own Rachel Pollack, which is very exciting because she worked with the comic book folks for quite some time. And I really love this deck. This one is the first edition, so the cardstock is a little bit nicer. It still feathers quite a lot, but I've gone ahead and etched it in this kind of like aubergine plum color. And I think this is also the closest I get to like a fandom deck. And I like that it's, if you didn't know that it was associated with the Sandman comics, you wouldn't necessarily, it's not like completely obvious. There are sort of some references, but overall, it's just this like this feels like a early 2000s very dark grungy grungy goth music video where everything's like kind of blurry and out of focus and a little bit surreal. um I'm thinking like Paris Kills era for the 69 eyes. Anyone else? No, just me. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, there's this like really dark atmospheric vibe that this sort of encapsulates for me, and it brings me back to the early 2000s. And it's a total vibe. I've been using this deck for sort of spooky readings all month, but I've been using it also for like nightmare work, for dream work. And like this is mostly a pip deck, but it's the pips are like really exciting, and the way Rachel Pollack wrote the guidebook is also really interesting because she doesn't emphasize the Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, and she's actually kind of like digging into the numerology of the cards. And like something like this with like the 8 swords slowly being swaddled up and wrapped up and wrapped up. Like this is a really interesting 8 to me. Like I feel like it's like it's a really interesting pip deck. And I really adore it. So this is my I guess this is my my goth workhorse. I really do like it a lot. I'm like tempted to show you the whole thing. We're seeing quite a lot of it. But the majors do have different sort of. I think Dave McKean chose the astrological correspondences, so those are a little bit different, and they're not the ones that I work with. However, they're like not super obtrusive, and they don't bother me too much. So it's not a huge deal. Like, look, the lovers in Capricorn, super weird, right? That's not what we're used to. But that's okay. That's the only kind of but like some of them are still the same, So it's very fun. It's very fun. I like it a lot. So we'll end there with the Vertigo Tarot. Up next, we're gonna continue with some very we're doing some like trad goth, and I think this is an absolute classic, right? The Gothic Tarot. So this one is new to my collection, and it's been on my wish list, and I've held off on it all year so I could time it just right. And I really like the majors in this deck. I find the majors to be quite compelling. Here we have our Spooky Fool, and I think my favorite cards in this deck are the cards that have this like green color. I'm here for the slime spookiness, right? So here I have another music video recommendation. This feels very silly. Maybe oh, it's okay. We're gonna do it anyways. There's a very strange but very good sort of what are they? They're a genre crossing band from Australia called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and they released a music video earlier this summer for Gila Monster, and it's the silliest, campiest, like best video, and it's for their single, which is kind of like thrash metal, and it's about these like wizards who decide to like invoke and awake the giant Gila monster, which is this like giant dragon, and they're all in robes around a cauldron chanting, and it's very campy, and it's my favorite song from the summer. So maybe check that out. She's with like, one question is like, when did ancient Egypt become pulled into the Goth movement? And you know who I think had something to do with that? I think Siouxsie and the Banshees. She started doing this like Egyptian eye makeup in the 80s, right? So we can maybe thank her for some of that. Um, maybe Spellbound is another one for our tarot goth playlist here. Um, Very fun. Love this chariot. She's also really great. And I just finished watching, what was it called? Is it oh boy, is it Midnight Mass? Yeah, this guy was in it, right? If you've seen it, oh boy, that was real spooky. Um, yeah, she's great. I also really like all of the kind of the ghostly images. I wish there was more like good ghost decks. I haven't found this is the closest thing to like a really good ghost deck that I found. And I love this judgment card. I think it's really great. If you want a spooky ghost show, you should watch Lockwood and Co. It's on Netflix. It got canceled, but it's my favorite. It's my favorite ghost show. And in the first episode, it has this like really long training session montage to Bela Lugosi's Dead, uh, which is epic. Bauhaus also very trad goth. Love it. Love to see it. So as soon as that, like, I was sold as soon as it started, but like halfway through that first episode, when like the opening for that song came on, I was hooked. I was hooked. That's all it took. That's all it took. The rest of the deck is like quite pippish, and like this kind of cool blue color sort of predominates. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna edge it. I think I might. I think it would look great edged in red, but I think it might also be fun to kind of edge it in this like spooky blue color. What'd you guys think? What'd you guys think? Anyways, moving along. The next one we're gonna look at is the Dark Angels Tarot. Now, I wasn't gonna get this one, but then I saw it on Meg's Vampire Decks video, which I really loved. And there was something about it that I thought was like really interesting. The images have this like kind of soft, ethereal, gloomy quality to them, that you're like not quite sure what's going on in them, but it's a vibe. Like, who are these folks? I don't know, but it's like a very dramatic reader. Like, it's like the melodrama, and it has like really, really quippy kind of like one line card meanings in the book. And they're just like so dramatic. And so I kind of like the fantasy element. I like the high drama. I like the masks. So this feels like a little bit, yeah, a little bit kind of masquerade, like going to a cursed fairy ball kind of vibe. And I I think it's quite fun, and I was feeling a little bit indulgent. And it's Lo Scarabeo, so I just went ahead and sprung for it, and I kind of really dig it. On the note of vampire decks, you know what it's time for? It's time for a vampire deck, and this is the Tarot of Vampires. We know this one. Everyone's got this one, and I was feeling left out. And so I picked up this one too, and I've just started working with it, and it's also very dramatic, and I kind of really dig it. It reminds me. So I was really into Finnish metal as a teen, like really into Finnish metal as a teen. So much so that me and my best friend decided to be exchange students for a year in Finland. And we thought we were going to be so cool, and we would both get placed in Helsinki, and we would just be going to shows all the time. But she got placed in Lappeenranta, which is on the border with Russia, so far, far to the east, and I was placed way up north, in a town called Rovaniemi, which is literally on the Arctic Circle. So not much sun. The train didn't stop any further north, and we only got to go to a couple shows together. But the point is like this is like mid 2000s Finland, and it was a time when like the all of the goths were out in Finland. Like this was, I feel like it was peak goth era. And this deck reminds me of a lot of my, like this is the deck that all of my Finnish goth friends would have had for sure. And it reminds me of like you guys know Nightwish? I feel like this is very much a Nightwish deck for sure. That's what I think of when I see it. But I don't know. I think it's interesting how, I don't know, all how, how popular all of these sort of like supernatural kind of like romance things are. And I think I don't know what that's all about. But it's very fun. This also makes me think of, have you guys seen the AMC's version of Interview with a Vampire? The TV series, not the 90s movie, which is also very fun, but that show gets real good. It's a bit of a slow burn, but it has this like immense like bloodbath of a crescendo. And that's also what this deck makes me think of. It's like a little bit baroque. It's over the top. It's dramatic. And it's one of those things where love will devour you alive, kind of goth, which is also quite fun. Next up, we're gonna do another absolute classic. This is The Crow's Magic, by Londa Marks, and I have this deck is out of print, and I just have the original version. There was like a borderless version that kind of went around recently that I didn't hop on, but that's okay. I dig my original copy. I like the white borders, but this is a really weird deck, and it's very fun. And I think Londa Marks herself was like did costumes for like rock bands in the I don't know in the 80s and 90s. Is that right? And I have a theory about this deck. And are you ready to hear it? My theory about this deck is, so this is a bit of a conspiracy theory that I'd like to put forward. But have you guys seen The Crow with Brandon Lee? Classic, so good, really excellent. But I feel like this deck, has it has the Crow vibes for me, but instead of so the plot of this is like Brandon Lee's character is resurrected in order to achieve revenge for his murder, right? And the Crow kind of acts as a psychopomp. And so to me, I feel like this deck, it's like this weird cyber blend of like animals in the future. And we get really very few images. We get a lot of images of like these sort of, I think the term is therianthropic, where it's like a mixture of human and animal images. And we get a couple of these images where the crow or where the bird of prey is kind of coming right at us. And so my weird theory about this deck is that the animal kingdom is kind of becoming resurrected and like extracting its revenge on humanity. And so it's like we are, in this version, the audience, the viewing member, we are the prey. We are the ones that are kind of being attacked. And, we only get one or two images of humans. And I feel like the animal kingdom via the crow is just kind of like extracting our genetic material and burning the world down to live in this sort of like and there's also dinosaurs in it, so we're living in this future where like the animals control the world and only use the human genome to kind of like advance their own agenda in this sort of like goth techno future where it's like post-Anthropocene, transhumanist vengeance against the humans. That's how I feel about this deck. Super weird, kind of out there, but that's my conspiracy theory, and I'm gonna stick to it. I'm gonna stick to it. There's one there's one song. I was gonna find. Oh boy, I'm not gonna find the card now. But there's a metal song called "A Rose for the Crows" by Turbowolf, and that's the song that I'm going to. Oh, there's an owl here that's kind of got a rose that he's carrying. Do you know the one I mean? You know the one I mean? Oh, I didn't find him. Anyways, moving on. That's the crow's magic, and that's my theory about it. The next one I'm going to show you is this one. This is the True Oracle of Nostradamus, and this was a Kickstarter that I got sometime this summer, and it's very spooky and quite fun, and it's a good little kind of like fortune-telling deck. And it's got sort of upright and reverse meanings, but this feels very kind of seasonally appropriate. Occult knowledge and bewitchment, very fun. But this is I think this would be a really fun deck to bring to like a little Halloween event and give out spooky Halloween fortunes for folks. I think this would be like a perfect little deck for that. And I think the original had really cool. This is like a restoration of a deck that came out, I think, in like 1911 or something like that. And I think on the Kickstarter they showed the original borders, which were very pretty. But now we've just got the kind of stark white ones, which are perhaps a little bit more graphic, but less fun. So that's our little spooky oracle. And then two other oracles I'm going to show you are this one. So where do you go? Where do you go to find goths? Well, you go to the cemetery. And this one is all cemetery photography. It's called the Graven Images Oracle, and it's a really good reader. And I use this deck in tandem with the Gothic Tarot. They're like perfect companions. Especially since the Gothic Tarot is only mages only, so you kind of need to use it with something else to kind of like fully flesh it out. And it has like a good mix of keywords, so it's not just all doom and gloom. It does have a number of suits in it, so it's kind of like it's got a system. Things are a little balanced out. But I don't. Have you ever like gone to a cemetery and like seen some witches there? Sometimes I go walk around my local cemetery, and it's like a historic old cemetery in Ypsilanti, Michigan, and I swear I've seen witches collecting grave dirt there. No judgment, but like, I see you. I know what you're up to. You do you. That's fine. But like, I know what's going on here. I also really like the font. The font on this one is like really excellent. So that's the Graven Images Oracle. It was out of print for a while, but I think you can get it on the publisher's website these days, if that's something that's interesting to you. The next one I'm going to show is the Fallen Angel Oracle by Nigel Suckling. So if you've been watching my channel for a minute, I've been in search of like more and better oracle decks, and so this is a new oracle deck to my collection. I just got it, and I did I've been obsessed with doing these kind of like two-tone sort of ombre edges recently, and I think it goes really well. I'm really pleased with how this one came out. And so this is a deck that's kind of new to my collection, and I've been digging it. I think this deck will go really well with a lot of different things. I think this one will go really well with the Vertigo Tarot, and maybe we'll use those together for our reading at the end. We'll do a little bit of a spooky reading. So I think this one's going to be in the mix. And I don't know. I don't really know the who all the guys are very well. I've just been kind of mostly going off of the keywords. But I really like the imagery in this deck. And I'm glad I got it. And I think it'll be. I'm still in my kind of early stages of getting to know the deck, so I think I'll feature it in my next kind of Oracle Quest update video next month or whenever I get around to that. Very fun, very fun. And I need to make a little pouch for this one too. I think this one needs a little pouch. Up next is another Oracle deck, and I'm gonna make an argument that it's Goth. It's the Craft Decadence Oracle. I mean, it's got like some roses and skulls, and I've been really enjoying this one. I also had a fun time edging this one, and you can find it on Game Crafters, and it has these black borders, and like the imagery just feels like really lush, and a little bit like sensuous, and then these keywords are just like very strange in the best way possible, like primordial savagery, resumption of power. So I and like this one, ineffable genius, like this, I don't know, something about it is giving me goth vibes for sure. And I really like it. I've been having a really good time with it. I talked about it more in my most recent Oracle deck update that I just posted. But yeah, this can be like spooky. It's also a little bit cutting, which is fun. And it's a little bit like thought provoking. And yeah, it just feels a little bit luscious. Positive disintegration, happy ending cycle, joyful death. Like, come on. That feels very goth to me, right? Okie dokie. So on the note of kind of like sensuality, you know, indulgent. The next deck I'm going to show you has been having a little bit of a moment, because it was just released, and it is, ooh, she's pink. It's the Goddess of Love Tarot. Now, a love deck. Well, yeah, I think this one is like, uh, she's a little kinky. Like, yes, we've got kind of like softness and pinkness, but we've also got some imagery that feels, I don't know, if you're familiar with Gabby's Herstick's vibe, it's like all over this deck, right? So like I feel like we do get a little bit, at times. It does veer into some kind of like gothic sensuousness, and I think the red borders also kind of do that for it. I have some kind of like, I've been working with this deck for a little bit, and overall I have some kind of mixed thoughts. I'm thinking about making a video about like working with goddess decks in general, but that's still in the works. So I think I'll save my thoughts on this for later. But for now, I will just say that it is, you know, I think it counts. I think it counts here, for sure. So that is the Goddess of Love Tarot. And so those are what I would call my kind of like more traditional goth decks. And now I'm going to show you some decks that I think are just like kind of metal. And the first deck I'm going to show you is this deck. This is the Draxiodos Tarot by Greg Traw. And the reason I say it's a metal deck is because the artist himself is, in fact, in a metal band in Portland. And he does all of the like artwork for the band. And he uses, so he, like the album covers, his band's name I think is, oh geez, I'm not sure how to say it. It's Kvasir, Kvsir, which I think is the name of a Norse god. And so he's got all of these, like, he uses kind of like these sort of old school fantasy images, which I just associate with like being being kind of metal. Let's see if we can find some, especially the court cards in this deck. It's a very esoteric deck with a lot of fun sort of esoteric symbolism. But every now and again we get, let's see if we can find some of these guys. It uses a color coding system. Yeah, like this kind of stuff. Super metal, right? Look at those dragons. Very fun, very fun. And so for that reason, I think this deck is pretty metal. I think he's in like a Doom band. You guys into Doom? I'm into some Doom. Feeling pretty doomy these days. I don't know about you all. But this is I use this deck exclusively on my altar. Like, look at her. Super metal, right? Yes. Love her. Love her for sure. So I think this is a pretty metal deck. And then my other deck that I think is super metal is this one, the Gizzard of Meditation. So this is an out-of-print deck from the 80s. I think the first edition may have been printed in the 70s. Oh no, yeah, 75. That's when it came out. But this deck gives me like 80s metal cover, and I love it. I love it for that reason. Like something like this, total album cover. Like all of these majors could be metal album covers, and I, just some like old school shit for sure. Oh yeah, I really love this deck, but the minors are some of the worst minors of any deck you'll ever see. They're just like super boring. But these majors are like absolutely iconic. So iconic. Like this image, like I want that on a t-shirt. She could be on it. She's easily, right? It's just, yeah, they're all bangers. I want to listen to all of these records, right? And then we get into the pips, and then these dudes, the courts. Come on, right? Yeah, I think there's only one woman in this deck who isn't topless, which I think is very silly. So that's the Gizzard of Meditation. And then the next deck I'm going to show you is the Caitlin Madison Tarot. And the reason I think this is a metal deck is that I know Caitlin Madison does band poster illustrations for some metal bands. And I found out about this deck through Chelsea Wolf's Instagram. And Chelsea Wolf kind of spans a couple of genres, but she's got a couple Doom albums, or albums that I think that are kind of straying into the metal territory, and kind of like the little bit neo-psychedelic, a little bit kind of, stoner metal, totally. I have to find the most metal guy in the deck, which is one of my favorite cards in the deck. Do you know who we're looking for? We are looking for the Emperor, because he is super metal. Let's see if he wants to come out and say hello. But you see, it all feels like very kind of band postery. artwork, right? Where's this guy? We gotta find him. We gotta find him. Super metal. Is he gonna be at the very end? He's always at the very end. Here he is. Right? So metal. Yeah, if you haven't heard, I'll leave a Chelsea Wolf video. Have you seen? Oh, you know what? I'll leave. Have you seen Chelsea Wolf's cover of Ozzy's Crazy Train? Really good. So I'll that's what I'll do. And now I've just got a couple left, and this one, this is a like a Russian deck, and I think it's just like called the Magical Tarot of Destiny. I got it from a Ukrainian seller on Etsy, but it's all of this like retro sci-fi fantasy artwork that I also think is super metal and like, come on, right? Oh, it's so good. I love it so much. And yeah, it's all very, very 80s. So yeah, I love it big time. Yeah, it's really good. It's very camp. It's very, very cheesy, but I can easily see a lot of this stuff as album artwork, right? It doesn't make too much sense as a tarot deck, but it is nonetheless very, very fun. So there's that one, and then the last one I will show you is this is a reprint of who are you? What is your name? Oh dear. Thompson Lang. This is a reprint of the Thompson Lang, which was a deck from, I believe, the 1930s. And I'm really getting it out to show you only a couple cards. Really, only one card in particular, and I think that's the card that we're going to end on. But I need this on a shirt. It's the card that it's the reason I bought this deck was just for this Ten of Swords, because I think this is the most metal Ten of Swords. I love that bat. This would be a cool tattoo. This would be a good t-shirt. This would be a good album cover. And so I think this bat is going to be the last card I'll show you today. That'll end our tour of my goth and my metal decks. Do you have any metal decks? I'd like to see them. I think they're fun. So with that, I'll go ahead and get set up to do a little bit of a communal reading. So I figured, we'd go pretty trad for our spread today, and we'll do a cross. We'll do the first part of a Celtic cross, because I feel like that's what a goth would do, and that's what we're about today. So we're gonna draw, but we're gonna do it. With lots of different little decks. So we're gonna get everybody involved here. Not everybody, but a couple people. So we're gonna start for our main. I just cut one card. That's how it happened. So we've got somebody in the middle. This is our. We drew a major for that, and then to cross. On top of that, we're going to start off with our Graven Image Oracle. And this will be our main sort of subject for the reading. So this is a little bit of a, what do us sad girls need to hear right now? Please, we ask the cemetery gods. So we've got the Magician and As Above. Dude, no way! If you know, in the Rider-Waite-Smith, the magician is standing in the classic as above, so below posture with one hand pointed forward. This is wild, guys. This is super wild. And this sort of like lightning strikes coming down. So we're channeling some collective energy here, and we've got those sort of burning eyes. And the as above, so below maxim is kind of about creating the world according to, the divine principles, right? As in the heavens, so on earth kind of thing. And the magician is also kind of just about creating, words are magic, speaking things into creation. So I think we're rife with energy that needs to be channeled, and there's some big changes that need to happen in the world right now, and we gotta use our collective energy, guys. We gotta use our collective force, and that's what we need to do, right? That's what we need to do. That's kind of like clearly, that feels pretty clear to me. Ooh, we got a jumper. We got a jumper. So we'll do one up there. We'll do one down here. And we've got our little cross, but we're not done, because who can just use one deck? Not I. Not I. So we're gonna add in another one here. Get everyone involved. All right. So I don't know how you guys like to read the cross, but the way I do it is we've got our central issue, our magician, our crackling energy, and then in this sort of above position, I like to think of it as I do conscious, unconscious, drawing on the past and going into the present. I feel like that's fairly standard. So we've got we've got turmoil, and we've got the Page of Cups, which, the Page of Cups is all about. I think one way to put it is sometimes our feelings are bigger than our ability to express them, right? So I think this is a time when we're just consciously feeling a lot of turmoil. And I think this is also like giving us permission to feel the turmoil, right? To feel into it. We're allowing ourselves to not just kind of like shut it out, turn it off, but like we're getting into our feelings. We're feeling really big things. And then let's take a look at the subconscious. We've got exhaustion and the Five of Swords. Isn't that right? Isn't that exactly right? The Five of Swords, we've got a sword through the lips here. And so there's a lot of stuff going on right now that is like a lot of very powerful forces are trying to silence what's going on right now, and it's exhausting to keep up with it all. And this is kind of wild, but this is the collective reading we're getting. So we're, subconsciously we have to kind of become aware of, what is being silenced, and we have to push through some exhaustion to get those voices heard, right? To listen, to witness. Ooh, boy, howdy. I didn't think this reading would be oof. Okay. So taking a look at drawing from the past. And we've got illusion here, and we've also got the Ace of Coins, which is interesting. And I think maybe we've been, under some illusions of the past that, things are okay, that we can start over, get a clean slate from history, start something new. But yet we arrive at same historical problems over and over again. So like there is an illusion that we can just like wipe this all clean, right? That's what I'm getting from that. And next steps, guys. We've got vision, diplomacy, and the chariot. Dude, this reading is intense. Oh man. All right. So yeah, we do need vision. Like we need to actually see what's going on. I think we can be witness. We can bear witness. And diplomacy, we can demand demand action and demand diplomatic solutions, right? And then we've got our chariot card, and our chariot card is, it's a literal call to action, right? And so this is a time to get out all of your chariot gear and go out into the world and advocate, right? Oh boy. Well, that's not what I thought this reading was going to be about, but like, that's what the cards are saying. And I think that's also kind of what we need to hear. And I was kind of feeling some kind of way about making silly tarot tube videos when all of this is going on. But here's a little kind of collective reading for us. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for sticking around. I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.